Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that touches all of our lives, decision-making. I'm a psychologist and I'm here to help you if you need anything. Let's start. Whether it's choosing what to eat for dinner, deciding on a career path, or even picking a life partner, decisions shape our lives in profound ways. Yet many of us go through life making decisions without fully understanding what goes on behind the scenes in our minds. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the psychological processes behind decision-making, the biases that can cloud our judgments, and how we can make better choices. To start, let's define decision-making. Decision-making is a cognitive process resulting in the selection of a belief or a course of action among several possible alternatives. Every decision we make involves uncertainty, and each decision leads to consequences that can affect our lives in small or big ways. Now, while we may like to believe that our decisions are logical and well thought out, the truth is many of our choices are influenced by subconscious mental processes, emotions, and cognitive shortcuts known as biases. One of the key players in decision-making is our brain's dual processing system. This model, proposed by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, explains how we use two different types of thinking: System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, and often based on intuition. It's responsible for snap judgments and gut feelings. Think of it as your brain's autopilot. It's quick and effortless, but it can also be prone to mistakes. System 2, on the other hand, is slow, deliberate, and analytical. It requires more cognitive effort and is used when we need to solve complex problems or make important decisions. Now, while both systems are essential for different types of decisions, problems arise when we rely too heavily on System 1 thinking for decisions that require more in-depth analysis. For example, when we're under pressure or tired, we may fall back on automatic, intuitive responses that can lead to poor decisions. That's where biases come in. Biases are cognitive shortcuts or rules of thumb that our brains use to simplify decision-making. While these shortcuts can be helpful in certain situations, they can also lead to errors in judgment. Let's take a look at some common biases that affect our decision-making. One of the most well-known biases is the confirmation bias. This is the tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or values while ignoring or dismissing information that contradicts them. For example, if you strongly believe that a particular diet is the best for health, you're more likely to focus on studies that support your view and disregard those that don't. Confirmation bias can lead to poor decisions because it prevents us from considering all available information objectively. Another bias is the availability heuristic. This is when we judge the likelihood of events based on how easily we can recall examples. For instance, after hearing about a plane crash in the news, you might overestimate the risk of flying, even though statistically, air travel is much safer than driving. The availability heuristic can distort our perceptions of risk and lead to irrational decisions. There's also the anchoring bias, where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter when making decisions. Let's say you're negotiating a salary for a new job, and the first offer you receive is $50,000. Even if you believe you're worth more, that initial number can serve as an anchor, making it difficult to negotiate a significantly higher salary. Anchoring can influence everything from financial decisions to judgments about other people. Then we have the sunk cost fallacy. This bias occurs when we continue investing time, money, or effort into a decision based on the amount of resources we've already put into it, rather than considering whether it's still the best course of action. For example, let's say you've started a business, and after a year of hard work and investment, it's not generating any profit. Despite the evidence that it may be time to cut your losses and move on, you might continue investing more money and effort because of the time and resources you've already sunk into it. The sunk cost fallacy can lead to poor financial decisions, staying in unfulfilling relationships, and sticking to career paths that don't bring happiness. These are just a few examples of the many cognitive biases that can affect our decision-making. Now that we understand the impact of biases, let's talk about how we can make better decisions. The first step is becoming aware of these biases and recognizing when they might be influencing our choices. Awareness is key because once we're conscious of our biases, we can take steps to counteract them. Another important strategy for improving decision-making is to slow down. Remember, System 2 thinking is more analytical and deliberate, but it takes time and effort. When faced with a complex decision, take a step back, gather all the relevant information, and weigh the pros and cons. Don't rush the process. For example, if you're deciding whether to switch jobs, make a list of the potential benefits and drawbacks of each option, and consider how each choice aligns with your long-term goals. Speaking of goals, Clarifying your values and priorities is another essential component of good decision-making. When you're clear about what's most important to you, it becomes easier to make choices that align with those values. For instance, if your top priority is spending more time with family, you might decide to take a job with a lower salary but better work-life balance. Knowing your values helps you avoid making decisions that feel good in the short term but leave you unfulfilled in the long run. In addition to taking your time and clarifying your values, it's also important to gather diverse perspectives. Our own experiences and biases can limit our view of a situation, so it can be helpful to seek out opinions from others, especially people who might have different viewpoints. This can provide new insights and help you see the bigger picture. For example, if you're deciding whether to invest in a new business venture, talking to someone with experience in that industry can provide valuable information you may not have considered. Another powerful tool for improving decision-making is pre-mortem analysis. This technique involves imagining that your decision has already failed, and then working backward to identify what might have caused that failure. By anticipating potential pitfalls in advance, you can take steps to mitigate those risks and make more informed decisions. For example, if you're planning a major project at work, think about what could go wrong and how you would address those challenges. In some cases, it can also be helpful to set up decision-making frameworks or algorithms. This might sound technical, but it's really just a structured approach to making choices. For instance, you could create a weighted scoring system where you rate each option based on key criteria, such as cost, feasibility, and alignment with your goals. This can help reduce the influence of biases and emotions and lead to more objective decisions. Lastly, don't forget the power of intuition. While we've spent much of this video talking about the potential pitfalls of relying too much on System 1 thinking, there are times when our gut feelings can be valuable. Intuition is often based on years of experience and accumulated knowledge, so in certain situations, especially when you're an expert in the field, trusting your gut can lead to good outcomes. The key is knowing when to rely on intuition and when to engage in more deliberate, analytical thinking. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more psychology insights. Let me know in the comments how you've dealt with difficult decisions in your life and what strategies have worked for you. Until next time, take care.